haven't been in the city yet, but I'll go there tonight. And hopefully, you know, it'll be just as great as the track. But I'm really looking forward to race tomorrow. That's the main thing.
It's special, but it's I'm enjoying it. How you call it, an adventure.
It's fantastic for Super League to come this far overseas. It's great for the championship.
There's the checkered flag. 50 points for Beijing.
There was like an infection on my lungs. I had nothing left, absolutely nothing left.
100,000 euros goes to Liverpool. Fabulous win for Olympiacos and Neil Yarney. And there's the drive-through penalties. They've been warned and warned and warned. We saw in the background that they were going all four wheels off the circuit.
I don't know, I didn't realise that I crossed it, but they said I crossed it, so okay. But now I'm 10th again.
The front wing has gone completely from the Spurs car.
Craig Dolby has lost his front wing.
Oh, disaster!
Well, what can you do? You get a great start and then, yeah.
Anderlecht second, continuing a phenomenal run of form by Davide Rigon.
Fantastic for me to be in the top of the champion now. I hope to keep it for the end.
Well, what a championship battle we've got on our hands. After Portimao round 9 saw all sorts of changes at the top and down the order. We find ourselves now ready for round 10 in the heart of Inner Mongolia in China. We're at a brand new facility here, the Ordos International Circuit. Well, in bright sunshine, this brand new facility has just been completed. The first international race being held here for Super League, and the layout of this 3.7 kilometre track in the shape of the wild horses that are the cornerstone of Mongol culture. It combines a fast-flowing section with a tight technical inner part. It is going to be a real challenge for the drivers. And a real challenge too, with 9 rounds down and 3 remaining. 14 points separates Davide Rigon for Anderlecht, the new championship leader, from Spurs' Craig Dolby. But with over 300 points left in the season, no one outside of the top 7 or 8 teams is counting themselves out of the championship. And all the way down, there are plenty of chances to change places and improve. And it all comes down to how they fare around this circuit. Well, there's no doubt who the eyes of the crowd will be following. Local club Beijing Guan with John Martin. And we caught up with the driver yesterday to give us a look around this brand new Ordos track.
This is a lap on board the Beijing Guan car. Coming down the front straight to start the lap into turn 1, you're in 6th gear, about 70 metres, brake, down 3 gears, to turn in quite quick, and then the corner keeps on carrying on for a long time. Turn into 2 is quite tight, bit of understeer. 3 as well, you get on the power, so yeah, it's quite hard. Through 4, which is quite tricky, it's like flat on the entry, and makes braking for 5 quite hard. Hit the apex there nicely. Get on the power out of here very well. Up to 3rd, then back to 2nd again for 8. You can run all the curve on the exit there. This next kink's flat. There's rivers run across there when it gets wet. Braking for the chicane's quite hard, very easy to lock up. You can take a lot of curve there on both sides and a bit of dirt, which will be quite tricky in the race. Down to 11. It's very easy to lock the front right. Turn in. Which is in 3rd, up the hill, slight back into 2nd. Very tricky on the exit, very easy to get a lot of oversteer. Flat through 13, this is my favourite part of the circuit here, in through 14, turn in flat out, slight lift, mid-corner. Back to 3rd, you can run all the curve on the exit. Then braking for the last corner is very, very tricky. The turn-in's uphill and quite hard as well. Back on the power and yeah, across the start-finish line, and that's a lap of Ordos.
Well, discovering a brand new circuit is always a bit of an adventure for a driver, but this is not a new circuit. This is an entirely new country, and getting here in itself has been an enormous adventure for Superleague Formula, the first time outside of Europe. The race in Ordos in China is Super League's first ever flyaway event. It represents a huge logistical challenge for the organisers, transporting everything from Portugal on Europe's Atlantic coast to the heart of Central Asia in Inner Mongolia.
We sent 17,000 litres of fuel by sea, which is timed to coincide with the rest of the flight shipment. We've now got 14 trucks here today that we're loading up through the night tonight. That's about 100,000 kilograms of air freight. There's about another additional 20,000 kilograms of freight going on a commercial passenger flight. We double stack the cars on the car racks, and these will be loaded into the belly of the plane along with the rest of the freight. And then everything gets there, we unload. We have 1 day to set up before we go straight into practice and qualifying on the Saturday.
Ordos, the venue for round 10, is the fastest growing and richest city in China. It's a major energy hub, housing a sixth of China's coal reserves and supplying 80% of the world's lithium. The magnificent Genghis Khan Mausoleum pays tribute to the former emperor of the Mongol Empire. And for the modern day adventurers of Super League, racing in the East will be a very different experience.
It's amazing to see the response from people. I mean, just some people, I think they took 100 pictures of me and guys of the team, because they said it was the first, non-Chinese people they met and they seen actually. So it's interesting.
It's new for everybody, so that will give me an advantage, because the other tracks I didn't know either and was okay. So I think now we're on the same level and the track looks quite challenging. Yeah.
I think there's going to be quite a lot of overtaking. It's quite technical, a few slow speed corners mixed in with high speed. So the chance to overtake is fantastic, and the long main straight as well. So perfect place for push to pass.
For two teams in particular, Beijing and debutants team China, Ordos brings an added expectation.
There's no any pressure, because everything is first time. So I just need to do my best and get the better position, then make everything good. I think this is what we plan to do. Yes.
It's a great feeling, to have so many people watch you and want you to do well. Then obviously, yeah, there is more pressure, but it all comes part of the job, doesn't it?
It is all part of the job for John Martin in Beijing, and for Ma Qinha, a rookie making his first Super League start for Team China. So plenty for the local crowd here to see and plenty to support. Let's see how we got here then with the qualifying and the knockout stages. Qualifying for round 10 started in the traditional manner with the draw. Drivers allocated into Group A or Group B for the first section of qualifying in random order. The big surprises in Group A after a spin by Roma leaving dirt all over the track. It's Tottenham who don't go through, second in the championship.
Roma had spun, so that messed us up, and yeah, qualifying over really.
Things were looking tough for Tottenham, but there was more surprises to come in Group B. A last-gasp effort by Basel let them into the Fast Four, and that meant that points leaders Anderlecht would not go through to the knockout stage either. Flamengo topping Group B with a great lap from Andy Soucek. Soucek was in action in quarter-final one, and swapping the commentary position for the FC Porto car. Up against him was rookie driver Earl Bamber. His first effort in qualifying had seen him straight through into the knockout stages, but Soucek made no mistakes. Flamengo were through. Robert Dornbos next up for Corinthians versus second-time driver Ben Hanley for Olympiacos. Corinthians started well, but a mistake at the chicane was his undoing, and Hanley pounced. He'd move on. Quarter-final three, and neither team nor driver Franck Pereira at Girondin had had any sleep the night before, pulling an all-nighter to get the car ready. It paid off. Liverpool were never in this, and Girondin rolled out the easy winners. The final quarter saw Beijing up against Basel. John Martin really on a roll. 2 poles already this season. He's aiming for a third. And after topping his qualifying group despite a wild ride through the chicane, the Aussies' aggressive style put Beijing through to the next round. Searching now for a place on the front row and pole position. Heading for the finals, would it be Flamengo or Olympiacos? Well, early on, Soucek's season-long experience in the Flamengo car looked to be paying off. but a couple of vital mistakes by the Spanish driver in the closing stages of the lap allowed Ben Hanley to pounce, and it was Olympiacos, the surprise package, into the final. Into the second semi then, who would join Olympiacos for the front row shootout, Beijing or Girondins? Once more, John Martin in the Beijing car attacking hard, and the local crowd favourite was in front all the way. Lack of track time in the end caught up with Girondins, and they went out. Into the final then, Beijing and Olympiacos, and there'd be no doubting who the crowd would be favouring. The Chinese side with lots of pace all the way through. It looked as though it was done and dusted. First and second sectors went in the direction of Beijing. John Martin had it in the bag. Oh no, Martin leaves his braking too late. What a mistake! And this is a chance for Olympiacos. They cross the line, and Olympiacos have pole position in Ordos. Well, fascinating stuff with Olympiacos claiming pole position. Ben Hanley, only his second drive in the car, qualified third last time he was in it in Adria. He's on pole this time. John Martin, well, a great run for the Beijing team. Franck Pereira, only his first drive for Girondins. He lines up third ahead of Andy Soucek, the fastest man in the group stages. Robert Dornbos and Frederik Vervisch line up on row 3 for Corinthians and Liverpool. And then we find our championship contenders, Basel, Anderlecht and Spurs, 8th, 9th and 10th. Jelmer Berman from Milan down in 12th position as well. Lots of work to do for the top men in the championship. Last year's champion Adrian Valles starts 13 for Sporting Portugal. Adeli Fong, one of 2 Chinese drivers in the field. Marquin Ha in the second car in 19th. And now it is race time, and time for the championship contenders really to do some hard work. Tottenham Hotspur starting in 10th place, second in the standings, and alongside 9th on the grid, Davide Rigon. He is our points leader. Neither the top 2 in the championship made it even through into the knockout stage. It's going to be a tough race for them. Tough too for Earl Bamber. He should be sitting beside me in the commentary box. He's not. He is driving for FC Porto, minutes from making his first ever Super League start. He lines up in 8th place. Max Wissel alongside third in the points. He starts 7th for FC Basel, and like the other leaders, he has got to keep himself out of trouble. Liverpool, well, Frederik Vervisch, winner on the last time in the seat in the car. He won the super final in Portimao, and alongside him in row 3 of the grid, podium in race 2 in Portimao as well for Robert Dornbos. Corinthians are on form at the moment too. And that leaves our fast 4 then. Andy Soucek, the fastest man in the qualifying group stages. He lines up in 4th place for Flamengo, the reigning Formula 2 champion. Finally, Franck Pereira and the Girondins team slept last night. This is only Franck's second Super League start, his first in this team's colours. So third is a great position to be getting away from. And then our front row men missed out on his third pole, but it's his 4th consecutive front row start, and Beijing's colours will be loudly cheered by the crowd. John Martin is going for gold here. But he's going to have to beat our debut pole sitter, Ben Hanley, the youngster from Great Britain, driving for Olympiacos on pole position. He has won, this car has won the super final in Portimao with Neil Yarni, and it's also won with Chris van der Drift. Now Ben Hanley hopes to be the 3rd driver to put Olympiacos on the top step of the podium. So we are ready to go here in Portimao, in Ordos. The Portimao results have seen the championship change, and here is our brand new rookie, starting in 8th place, Earl Bamber. And we're going to hear from him in just a moment. There's the view forward from Craig Dolby and also from Marquin Ha on the Team China onboard camera. He starts in 19th place. So they're getting to roll away around this formation lap. 3.7 kilometers of the Ordos International Circuit. And now, pulses rising, tension rising too. Once they leave the line, they will be ready to make their start. The safety car will lead them round. And as they get to the line the next time, the lights will change and the race will be on. And moving around, some liquid on the track there. Now, does that mean one of our front row men had a problem? Let's take a look then. Ben Hanley and John Martin leading the field. Andy Soucek and Frank Pereira on row 2 of the grid. Row 3 for Corinthians and Liverpool, Robert Dornbos and Frederik Verfisch. Then on row 4, Max Wissel, FC Basel, and Earl Bamber behind the Basel car for Porto. Let's see if we can have a word with Earl Bamber.
This weekend, everything's feeling pretty good. Looking forward to the first race of Superleague. I know I've got a lot of friends back home watching. Also a few people in Hawaii watching, so should be good fun. Bring it on.
Okay, so Earl on his way round, formation lap time. Normally he'd be sitting right alongside me here in the commentary position, but because of problems for the regular driver of that car, Alvaro Parent, Earl has stood in at the last moment and is ready to make his first start. Well, you can see the view here for the first time of the turn 9-10 chicane. Very sandy here. This is, of course, on the fringes of the Ordos Desert, part of the massive Gobi Desert. Very, very sandy infrastructure, and it means that as the cars go offline, they pick up lots of dust. Well, joining me at the moment in the commentary position is perhaps China's best-known international racing driver, Ho Pin Tung, who's been racing in the GP2 series. First of all, got to ask you, the injuries you suffered to your back, how's things going?
Things are going better. Still need a couple of weeks before I'm fully completely recovered to get back into a racing car. I can't wait, honestly.
Well, you can do without injuring your back first. Right, let's get ready for the start then. They are being lined up behind Ben Hanley. Few there from Spurs, and already there's contact, and that was Girondin. John Martin is in the barriers. Girondin, John Martin have made contact. Olympiacos take the start. The green lights are on, so away they go. But surely there's going to have to be a safety car. It's going to take them a little over a minute to get there, and a real drama for Beijing. John Martin thinking he had a great opportunity, and it was Corinthians that jumped early from row 3 of the grid. Robert Dornbos, so Girondin is there. Basel have come through the confusion to go up to 3rd position, and with 45 minutes of the race to run, already things have taken a dramatic turn. Well, Ho Pin Tung, normally we say that the first corner is the really dangerous one at the race start, but that was the last corner of the warm-up lap, and 2 cars tangled, so dramatic stuff. In fact, we've got a 3rd car out there on the line as well. Let's take a look at this. Well, on board with John Martin, safety cars pulled off, and Martin, for some reason, doesn't seem to be going.
Yeah. Maybe he's in the wrong gear. It goes slightly uphill, so it's really hard to see the green flag over there as well. So maybe he just missed the start.
Well, everybody was going there. The safety car had pulled off. The leader had nailed it. They were all going, but for some reason, John Martin's car didn't seem to respond to the throttle, and that means that he was just like a slow-moving piece of traffic as everybody charged in. You can just see the Flamengo driver walking back, Andy Soucek wondering what on earth to do. At the moment then, we have Liverpool leading. So the other car that was missing there, well, oh no, was Olympiacos. Okay, so Olympiacos is safely through. Girondin in 2nd. FC Basel, great start for Max Wissel. He was in 7th on the grid, he's in 3rd. Liverpool 4th, Porto in 5th position. So Earl Bamber made it safely through the run-up to the start in his first drive. There is Basel, there is Liverpool, and Porto coming down the hill. Spurs, well, he's made it through into 6th, ahead of Anderlecht in 7th place. So the top 2 in our championship, Liverpool, Tottenham and Anderlecht, 6th and 7th. Well, after the drama at the start, the drivers are going to have to really focus hard now in the first couple of laps. Tyres need bringing in correctly, otherwise you're going to ruin them. And so it's now really important to be as precise as you possibly can.
Exactly. As you can see, the track is quite dirty in some places. Oh, we see smoke. See smoke from Liverpool car.
Yes, absolutely, and that is a major problem.
And he's spitting a lot of oil.
Yeah, he's going to leave oil everywhere on the track. It is slippery enough as it is. Now, Frederick Vervisch obviously knows he's got a problem. He's just looking for somewhere to pull off. He'd like to make it back to the pits, but that looks fairly terminal to me. He's offline, and he is going to pull off there. But on the push-to-pass graphic, you see almost everybody has used a push-to-pass at the start. And again, that's one of the factors here. You get extra power, extra revs, and so the speed is really quite high. Running up the hill here to the start. And if somebody's doing 40 miles an hour, well, you're doing 120, then obviously very hard to avoid them.
Exactly.
So, let's get down to the pit lane and catch up with Abby Griffiths. Abby, who have you got for us?
Andy, what happened?
I mean, the race actually finished. The race finished before the start. I mean, I got hit by Dornbos. Hanley just accelerated too early for me. Then Beijing didn't react, so I had to go offline, and Robert just came straight, you know, with full power and hit me on the tire. Very, very strange. I mean, from such an experienced driver to get hit is a bit strange. So he lost, and I lost my weekend here. So.
Was it Robert Dornbos' fault, or was it the fact that Beijing had no drive?
I don't know why, but Beijing didn't accelerate for whatever reason. So I had to accelerate at some point. Otherwise, I would be 10th in the first corner. Hanley accelerated all of a sudden. It was very strange. I mean, they didn't behave very well.
Well, a hugely dramatic start, and 3 of the fastest 4 cars in qualifying are out, and that's Liverpool. Frederick Vervisch has rolled a little further down the hill. The view back from the camera, and who else is that in the background? Now, we've already... was that Porto as well?
Lisbon.
We've already lost Beijing. Okay, that is Porto then, we're saying in the background there. So is that Vervisch has come back on and Porto has had a problem on the oil? Well, all sorts of dramas here. Olympiakos are race leaders from Girondins de Bordeaux, FC Basel in 3rd, and Spurs and Sevilla are top 2 in the championship, now moving up to 5th and 6th. Well, at the line, Porto's still shown in 4th place, so that can't be Porto at the side of the track. We'll have to catch up with that. Beijing are out. Sporting Club de Portugal, that's who it is, Sporting Lisbon. They are missing, so they and Liverpool have both come off on that lap. And Team China now running up in 14th position. Well, apart from them, we have also seen Spurs, Sevilla and Anderlecht using their push-to-pass a second time to try and carve their way up the order. Ben Hanley, the race leader, with Girondins de Bordeaux and FC Basel. It's really boiling down into a 2-horse race already, Ho, because we've got our race leader here, Olympiakos. We've got Bordeaux right behind. So in the mind of the driver, you're leading now. You've seen all sorts of stuff happening behind you. You've just got to get away as quickly as possible.
Yes, exactly. And I think especially now after the problem Liverpool suffered, you can see the lap time slightly dropping as well. So people being a bit cautious, being some oil on the track in several places. So tire management obviously is going to be very important with such a slippery track.
Beijing's John Martin is in the pit lane. Let's catch up again with Abby Griffiths, see how he saw it from row 1 of the grid.
Well, I'm not with John yet because he's not back here, but I am with David, who's his engineer. David, we think there was nothing wrong with the car, so what was the problem?
Well, I think it was before the start-finish line, just as they were coming around the left-hand king. You couldn't even see the lights at that point. So I'm guessing the guys behind went, you couldn't even see, the lights must have still been red at that point, and we just got taken out from behind, you know. The lights were still red, I'm absolutely sure of it. So, you know, it's a pretty outrageous start, really.
Well, here's the view again from Beijing now. Hard to tell from the lights. I mean, you can't see the lights in the centre of the steering wheel moving up as you would do normally if the revs again. It just looked like there was no throttle response at all. And I think we might find from the driver that that was the case. So hoping to, I mean, a phenomenally exciting opening to our first ever race here in China. But again, we've now got to get our minds, like the drivers have, back onto actually trying to win this thing. Pole position always seen as an advantage. And again, a classic indication of exactly why it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially starting now from the front for Beijing. It's sort of their home race as well, even with John Martin driving. He's done so well in the last few races, so let's hope the team will be able to fix the car for the second race and they'll be able to pull off a nice race.
Well, one of the advantages of Superleague Formula, if you have a problem early on, is that the entire finishing order of race 1 is turned on its head for race 2. So the last finisher or the first retirer, whoever's at the bottom of the timesheet, gets to start on pole. So Beijing will be on pole for race 2, ahead of Corinthians, Flamengo and Sporting Portugal. So let's have a look on board with Olympiacos. This is one of the slower parts of the circuit, lots of second and third gear stuff here. Now, of course, drivers love fast flowing corners, but it's the slow stuff, perversely, where you lose most time if you're not accurate. Oh, and facing the wrong way is Sevilla. So Marcos Martinez having a problem there, and that was just on the run in from corner 4 to 5. Manages to get it turned round. Sevilla was in 6th position, and he's come back on in front, I think, of Atletico Madrid, so that's dropped him down to 9th place. Again, absolute accuracy, particularly when the track is fairly new and the runoff areas and the non-rubbered up part are very slippery.
Exactly, as soon as you start to go offline for just half a meter, you find such a slippery track that a mistake is very easily made. And I think this is exactly what happened with Seville. So yeah, it's very important. It's a long race and you need to be concentrated. Oh, here we'll see the replay.
Well, already he's got a lot of muck on the camera lens. Tight right-hand corner there. Tightens up as you go through it as well.
Just lost the backhand, it seemed.
750 horsepower and slippery conditions make for entertaining driving for anybody, and even getting it facing the right direction is not the work of a moment. So Sevilla drop a couple of places. Here's Basel then in 3rd place. No, that's a little further back, in fact. And there is FC Porto. Well, there's our buddy Earl Bamber. Came here for the trip to China, expecting to be sitting in the commentary booth, and ends up with his first ever Super League start. Now, he's got relatively similar experience, raced for Team New Zealand in A1 Grand Prix, and he was saying that these cars, a little bit longer, a little bit wider, a little bit heavier, more power, but also a lot more aerodynamic grip. So that, if you haven't been in a car recently, is going to be a big factor. Your fitness over a 45-minute race duration.
Exactly, they're heavy, big cars with a lot of power, and physical demands are quite high in terms of to a driver. So yeah, it's going to be hard for Earl, I guess, in the end, the second part of the race. But so far he's doing quite well. We can see the front runners are slightly quicker, but it might just be that he's also trying to save his tires a little bit, or save the best tires for at the pit stop.
Well, of course, the pit stops will be coming in once the cars have done a minimum of 8 laps. And Earl was saying to me that because the track is relatively new, and also because there's quite a lot of sand in the actual grain of it itself, we are in a desert area, it means that the tyres are starting to grain up quite quickly, which means they lose the maximum grip really quite fast, and they'll start to go off perversely in the cold conditions here much faster than they did in 30+ degrees in Portugal last time out in Portimao. So tyre preservation is going to be a real issue as well, particularly once you've made your pit stop. Well, the stewards clearly are going to have a look at what happened at the start, the incidents with car 24 and 14, that's Beijing and Corinthians. And either John Martin just didn't respond at all to Olympiacos jumping away, which seems very non-racing driver, or he had a mechanical problem. Either way, it's hard to see how he caused the accident, and behind him everybody was moving fast and expecting the cars in front to be doing the same.
Or what Andy Suchek from Flamengo mentioned, that maybe Ben Henley from Olympiacos just went onto the power a little bit too early.
Well, that's entirely possible. Looking here at FC Basel, still in 3rd place. So Basel, the best of our championship runners at the moment, and they come in here with a win earlier in the season and a super final win. But they be looking for another opportunity to score heavily here. And Anderlecht, the championship points leaders, in 6th place. There is Porto, and Spurs now starting to take the race to Porto. Anderlecht just drifting a little away from the Spurs car. Maybe Davide Rigon has already found that the tyres are starting to give up the ghost. Milan there in 7th place, they're not out of it either, and some of the cars already on their way back to the teams. It's not a fast turnaround between the races, but you want everything sorted out as quickly as you can. Now, down in the pit lane, Abby's caught up with another of the cars that we lost early on. Frederick Vervish, we saw him retire dramatically with a lot of smoke. Abby, what's the story?
So much drama so early on in the race. Frederick, what happened with you?
Yeah, the engine blew up. So it's really a big shame, because we had a pace, we made a change from yesterday to today. It felt good, and we had a good start, so it's a big shame. It's because it's improving every race, and it's not good because I don't know if I will make second race because there is no time to change an engine. So I think today for me it's over. That's a big shame.
Well, what a drama for Frederik Verbisch, the Belgian, not having much luck there. And Craig Dolby off track as well, and that looked like a mistake by the driver. Oh, he's gone past Porto, so maybe it was a mistake by the Porto car, and looked like Dolby had jumped by him. Is that the blue and white of Porto behind him, or was that Anderlecht behind him? No, I think that was the Porto car, so has Craig Dolby moved up a place? Looks like he's continuing happily. No, that was Anderlecht, so it was just him going off then trying to chase Porto, and Anderlecht being caught by Milan as well. So in the AC Milan car, Jelmer Berman is closing up. Don't forget, Berman has his own championship aspirations. He's fourth in the points, just 43 off the lead with 50 for a win here. Replay with the Spurs driver. Hopington tightening downhill left-hander here.
It's a hard corner. You have to carry a lot of brake into the corner. And you can see it's probably just has maybe some rear locking. Went a little bit wide and just on the dirt and lost the car. Luckily he didn't spin, or he could just continue as he did and didn't lose too much time there. But still, making those errors won't help you, especially now the stops are coming up soon.
Gap from first to seven, just 1.4 seconds. Hard as he tries, our leader there in the red and white colours of Olympiakos is not able to break away. On board with Girondin de Bordeaux. We're in second place here, and you can see the gap there. Basel 2.3 behind Girondin. So at the moment, in second place, the driver of the Girondin car, Franck Pereira, has got every opportunity to attack. He doesn't have to worry about his mirrors. He can just push as hard as he wants.
Yeah, and we can see he just made the quickest lap time of the race so far. So he keeps on pushing, trying to keep the pressure on Olympiakos' car. So he will have a good shot whenever the stops are coming up. He would just maybe, if he would stop one lap earlier, he would have an advantage of fresher tires. It would be interesting to see what strategy the teams are going to choose for.
Well, Basel has already used a second push to pass, so he has jumped in and tried to close the gap a little. That suggests perhaps that Max Wissel's Basel car is just struggling a little bit for race setup. Well, the pit lane is open now, and so oil on circuit. We're hearing from race control, and in immediately comes Ben Hanley. He wants to get shot of those tyres and get fresh rubber as quickly as possible. And so Girondin de Bordeaux lead. Hanley the only man in the pit lane so far. So Basel have gone through as well. But what about the championship contenders? Spurs and Anderlecht, are they going to pit now as well? Or are they going through and going to run some more laps on the tyres?
Brand new tyres for Hanley.
Now again, he's got to really make the most of them. And this is difficult, isn't it, to try and balance as a driver. You've got to get the maximum grip out of them. Anderlecht are in, but you've also got to not overheat them, otherwise they'll be no good for the rest of the race.
Exactly. If you push them really hard in the first, we see overtaking.
Whoa, well, that's Galatasaray with Atletico Madrid right behind them. And Atletico were in front as they crossed the line, so Galatasaray making that pass. So we've had several stoppers, and Milan have picked up 2 places. That's Milan in front of in front of Anderlecht, and in front of no, Spurs haven't. Yeah, Spurs have come in, and Sevilla come out as well. So I think Spurs got out, but Milan, it looks like, have jumped Anderlecht in the pit stop. It looked fairly confused there from our pit camera view. So Girondin lead. Olympiakos in the pits, that makes Basel in second place. And here is Girondin, clear view in front, and into the pit lane he comes. Now we'll have to see how this balances out when he comes out, how Ben Hanley's outlap has gone compared to the pit stop for Girondin. Will the French team be able to turn their man round in front? Very, very dusty in the pit lane. Again, absolutely brand new. This is the first major race here. There's only been one race weekend last weekend where it rained heavily.
Oh, some problems.
Oh, that's a disaster. Even a second is going to lose you a position in a race this close. Basel are in as well. So the top 2 on the track, both in together. That's a very quick stop. And Max Wissel is going to be right on the heels of Girondin. Yes, Olympiakos lead. So Girondin in second, Basel in third. Olympiakos with a bigger lead, and Girondin with trouble from behind. 69 is Olympique Lyonnais, yet to stop. They are in 4th place. And we're still waiting for another couple of pit callers. Atletico on pit road. So Atletico Madrid, this is the elapsed time on the screen for the entire pit stop, which is coming through the timing line and all the way out the other end. So you can see you're going to lose around 30 seconds. And again, as the car pulls away, you just see the dust coming up off the concrete. So easy to overshoot and cost 3 or 4 seconds if you miss the team's air guns.
Exactly. You see the drivers being very carefully on the pit entry as well. They're stopping in their box.
Well, here is our race leader, Olympiacos, Ben Hanley, really pushing hard. You see the hands reacting to the car, just losing a bit of grip there. Roma come in as well. Having such a good run, Roma. They were in 14th coming into the pits. And so Julian Schuss will certainly be hoping that the new tyres give him a little bit more of something. It's a brand new racetrack. The drivers have got no information when they arrived here. The teams, no data at all. So it's best guess setup work, which means that they're going to be normally more spread out than they would be at a track that they know well.
Exactly. As you can see now, Olympiacos is benefiting from the new tires and the extra lap he had compared to Frank Pereira in the Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, absolutely. Yeah. And a 1:30.36 for Ben Hanley, his first flying lap. Confirmation that is the fastest lap of the race so far. And we'll have to see what Girondin can do, but it certainly looks as though the Olympiacos team once more are in the ascendancy. Well, Hanley, his first race in this car was 2 rounds ago, round 8 in Adria in Italy. And then he missed out on Portimao. He was racing in the Karting World Championships. Yes, he's still young enough to be racing in the World Kart Championships. Fared pretty well there and returns to Olympiacos. He's having a really good run, looking for a maiden win in the Superleague Formula. He's really taken to these cars. He's driven cars like the 3.5 World Series cars as well, so he's quite used to big, powerful cars. But here's the battle for second then. Girondin de Bordeaux and FC Basel. And Basel didn't have the pace of the front runners before the pit stop. It looks now as though Max Wissel in that multicoloured Basel car is really looking for a pass somewhere.
He's really pressuring Pereira in the Bordeaux car. And it's quite hard to overtake here. I guess this is one of the only places, if you're going to use a push to pass, which is Basel is using now, you're going to have a good shot on the first corner. He's got a really good toe, chooses around the outside, but I think he's got enough speed to outbrake him on the outside, as he does. Brilliant move, nice move.
Very well timed as well. And you think, okay, well, why doesn't he break up the inside? You know, Frank Pereira there defending the inside line, but of course all of the grip is on the racing line, and already Max Wissel in the Basel car had that, so Bordeaux wouldn't have stopped if they'd brake late.
No, exactly, and using the push to pass, Basel had so much more speed.
Let's take a look at it again. He's already on the push to pass. It gives him more revs, which equals more power all the way up the hill, and Pereira powerless to defend. And again, the multicolour car Basel on the racing line, that's where all the grip is. It's really too hard to overemphasize how slippery it is when you're offline compared to where you're on the line where the rubber is. Tyres grip best on rubber, not on tarmac. Well, so that gives Basel now half his push to pass is used up, but he's moved up from 7th on the grid to 2nd position. Late pit stop there for Team China. So he comes back out.
Doing a very good job, I think. It's the first time he jumped in the car in this weekend with no experience at all in such a powerful car, and had some troubles in qualifying, gearbox problems, but he kept it on the track so far, doing a steady job, and he'll be a strong contender for second race, I hope.
Well, it's such a huge step up again, isn't it? He's come from his most recent single-seater experience in cars like Formula 3 cars, which have got about a quarter of the grip and, well, about a third of the horsepower if you're lucky. So it's an enormous leap forward. So he's doing a fantastic job. Team China in 12th place.
So Olympique Lyonnais going off the track briefly, but rejoining again without any troubles.
Olympique Lyonnais were in 10th ahead of Galatasaray and Team China. Atletico Madrid in 13th place, Roma in 14th. Now, both of them really struggling after their pit stops. Roma, Julian Jus has just done the fastest lap of his race, but it's really not helping him with position. It looks a little bit as though Olympique Lyonnais is struggling here to get the car slowed down. His lines are wildly all over the place.
Same for the Rome car. It seems to be really slow in compared pace with other cars, and might have got over with a problem early on in the race.
Pit lane speed infringement perhaps for Girondin de Bordeaux, and that will really harm them. They've already lost second place. They're down to third position now. Battle here, as we saw a moment or two ago, Galatasaray and Atletico Madrid. They were behind Team China before the China car stopped. Both of them on push to pass on the way up the hill and down the straight, and that presumably Galatasaray saw that Atletico was starting to come and reacted instantly to defend with the push to pass.
Exactly. You can use it in both ways, either to try to overtake, and also if the other car behind you is really close, you can use it to defend your place, especially here. It's really hard to defend on the inside, as we just saw with the Bordeaux car. And there's no grip, so you can't brake late. You really want to be on the ideal line, leaving the inside open for any other driver to make a shot.
Well, Robert Dornbos, one of our first lap problems, is down in the pit lane. Let's catch up with him. Abby, what's he got to say?
Well, it's quite clear. I mean, Ben made a really good start for pole sitter. I think Beijing just lacked the response. So Frank anticipated well, so I went with Frank and then Ben. And then I think Flamingo hit my left rear and went up in the air, and Beijing we crashed. You know, it's so unfortunate, but these starts, some people still don't seem to understand the rolling start. You know, you go together in a foul and not one by one. So that's it.
Well, tough breaks all round. It's a really dreadful way to start a long race weekend. You've got two races and you're out before you've even started the first one. Cars damaged as well. It's at the side of the track, so the team are going to be under even more pressure. Now we're seeing a red flag out. Pit lane closing, but the timing and scoring is showing that there is a red flag. Now, don't know why that is for, not hearing anything. Team manager for Girondin has been summoned to race control, which seems almost certain that they're going to give him a drive-through penalty.
Basel's using another push-to-pass, trying to catch up with Olympiacos.
Cars are still racing, but we don't see a red flag, so that looks like a timing glitch. Atletico Madrid and Galatasaray, great battle here. Galatasaray with rookie Giacomo Ricci. He did no laps in free practice before qualifying, so going out in the group stages of qualifying, he was starting to learn the track. Comes, like Ho Pin Tung here in the commentary booth with me, from GP2, where he was a race winner this year. Again, similar car, but having to learn an awful lot here. If you lose all the three free practice sessions, really, you know, here now, this is free practice for him, and he's having to race as well.
And you can see a good example, Galatasaray using the push to pass to trying to defend his position. He's actually pulling away from Atletico on the main straight, and both on 4 push to pass left for the remainder of the race. We'll see. I think we're going to see a nice battle between the both of them. Mustn't forget that both of them are pushing really hard now, using a lot from their tires. So it's going to be tougher and tougher towards the end of the race.
Absolutely right. Oh, and Galatasaray getting in a little late there. We saw Craig Dolby running off track early in the race. Both rookies, Bruno Mendes driving the Atletico Madrid car. He is new to the series as well, so 2 first-timers. And could hardly be further from your comfort zone, not at a track that there's even the remotest chance you would have raced on before in your life, so having to learn everything all in one go. They're doing a great job. Leaders in amongst the back markers, and clearing one there, that's Olympiacos going through. So China and Roma, they were having a good little battle as well, and he's cleared the Team China car. So in front then will be Olympique Lyonnais. It looks as though Roma has managed to jump China as well. So there is our leader, Olympiacos and Ben Hanley. And back to the battle with Galatasaray. Watching from Atletico Madrid again, the familiar sign of the driver changing gear, the flipper fingers, just the paddles behind the steering wheel, no manual gear change here. Confirmation then, the drive-through penalty. When the team owner is summoned to race control, you know that there's a penalty coming. So Girondin will serve a drive-through on the push to pass. Atletico, yes, goes steaming around the outside of Galatasaray. Giacomo is not giving that one up. He likes to race hard and close, doesn't he?
He does. It was really well timed from Atletico, because if you use one of your push to pass, it means the lap after you can't use. So when Galatasaray used theirs, Mendes knew that the lap after he would have a good shot. Oh, that's a nice move.
Wow, he's taken advantage. He knew that the Galatasaray car, was not comfortable down there into turn 4, so he's taken advantage of that and really forced the issue, hasn't he? So he used the push to pass. That didn't work to get him through, but tactical racing now did. So that's, again, classic racing driver move.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that before. Galatasaray struggling into turn 5 under the brakes, and he was really well timed, really close up, and made a good shot.
Well, Girondin, one of the longest pit stop times. Let's have a look again. Atletico, and again the Galatasaray car loose. And again, as soon as you move off the racing line, the grip just halves, and you're scrabbling even to survive the corner.
Exactly, but obviously towards the end of the race, all the cars running, putting a lot of rubber down, so the grip level is going to increase.
Well, this is Roma, Julien Jus, the Frenchman, with leader Olympiacos. But for Olympiacos, good news is that Basel is stuck behind the Team China car as well. And one of the problems with overtaking anybody here is it is this tight and twisty infield section. It's very narrow. There are no straights to be able to really try and slingshot past a rival of any speed. So both are going to have to wait their time until they can get, well, probably to the end of the lap and the car. Well, there's a good move by Julien Jus, runs out wide and allows the leader to go through. He knew that it wasn't China, so he knew clearly it was somebody he needed to let go.
Exactly, and now I think China's going to do the same at the end of the main straight, let Basel through.
Well, Basel has the best opportunity here now to go by. He's on the push to pass. Olympiacos as well, trying to clear the traffic and leave him behind. And Basel fast running out. He's just got 2 shots left, Max Wissel. But if he gets a chance to close on Olympiacos, one of those might be all that it needs to win the race. Spurs on the push to pass behind FC Porto. The gap was 2.6 seconds last lap. Are they closer this time? No, it's gone out to 2.9 seconds. So Earl Bamber in the Porto car, qualified in 8th position and is running 4th. Well, Basel, okay, what was he going to do? Get beamed up by Mr. Scott was the only way of getting out the way.
They did lose, both of them, Olympiacos and Basel, did lose a lot of time by lapping the back markers. Yeah, I think...
Well, here's Milan in 7th place, Anderlecht in 6th. Of course, they are 1st and 3rd in the championship. Spurs in 5th position, looking to close that margin. And a 5th position would really help Spurs at the moment, because that will give him 32 points to the 26th for 7th place of Milan and the 29 for 6th place of Anderlecht, and just help close down the lead group a little.
We see Bordeaux in front of the Milan car there. They just served their drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so they lost out quite a bit.
Yeah, lost a little bit of time, and 3 positions have gone from 2nd down into this championship battle. Abby is down in the pit lane, and she's got our defending champion, Adrian Valles, with her.
What happened to your race?
Already yesterday in the qualifying we struggled a lot, and today we had a problem with the gearbox. I had to retire because the gearbox was not working, so I couldn't downshift or upshift, so I just had to retire in the middle of the track. So.
You've got a bit of time between race 1 and race 2, so can you get it all sorted?
Hopefully we can repair the car and we can be able to run in second race.
Well, he'll start well up the order in the 2nd race, so maybe we will see the smile return there. Sporting Club de Portugal will be 4th on the grid if the car's all in one piece, and the mechanics, I tell you, very few of the mechanics have slept up until last night at all, other than on the dusty garage floors here. They've been working flat out because cars don't come ready to race out of air freight. Now, Ben Hanley, the leader for Olympiacos, has just set another fastest race lap. We've got just under 13 minutes remaining on the clock. We've got 2 or 3 cars now still putting in faster and faster laps, which means that tyre wear is holding up very nicely.
Yeah, and the fuel level in the cars is going down, so getting lighter and lighter, and this gives quite a lot of lap time, especially around such a small twisted track with a lot of braking, accelerating. Fuel load is making a huge difference.
That's absolutely right. They start with over 100 extra kilos of weight for all the fuel in the fuel tank, so you shed that, it's like getting rid of a 15-stone passenger that you really don't need to be carrying around. Olympiacos lead then, the gap now out to 3.4 seconds over FC Basel, and Basel in fact going just a little quicker than Olympiacos on the last couple of laps to close it down. Porto in third, Spurs, Anderlecht and Milan are 5th, 6th and 7th. Looking there at Milan, and he is really close behind Girondin, in fact, who's in 6th, so Milan in 7th place could do with picking up a spot here. But we saw on his new tyres that the car in 6th place, Girondin's Franck Pereira, has got plenty of pace. Wonder if Milan and Jelmer Berman can do anything about it.
We just saw Bordeaux using their push to pass, so if Jelmer Berman in the Milan car is able to creep close into his gearbox going onto the main straight, he would have a good shot, I think, using his push to pass. But he's struggling, he's pushing really hard, seeing lots of oversteer and corrections on the braking. So it's not easy for him. You can see stepping out, the car stepping out there. It's a lot of dust, obviously drivers trying to cut the chicane by gaining time, but also at the same time putting more dust and sand on the track.
Yeah, there was first free practice, a couple of drivers tried to drive around the curbs and then realised everybody else was just treating it as a little bit of straight that was interrupted by some sand, and so that is the way to take it. Clearly it's the quickest way through, but as you say, it makes the track, means that the track changes every single lap. Every lap there, it's like being in the rain, there's different grip at different parts depending on who's been off where. Again, out of this tight second gear, 60km/h corner, climbing up the straight. There's FC Porto, not going to bother Earl Bamber, I don't think, for any words right now, but I'm sure we'll catch up with him after the race and find out how things are going. Don't forget, he is in 3rd place now after that drive-through for Girondin. Spurs in 4th position, so Spurs, Anderlecht and Milan all starting to work their way, as you would expect, towards the top. You don't get to be the championship leader 3/4 of the way through the season by not being able to move up the field.
Exactly, and I think for them it's just a matter of trying to gain as many points as they can. Unfortunately for Spurs, Anderlecht is right behind them in 5th place, so they won't gain a lot, but still they need to stay close, and it's going to be a really tight battle towards the end of the season.
Well, what Spurs have got to hope is that Girondin and Milan come on strong and maybe get a chance to leapfrog Anderlecht, take a few points away and close the championship battle down. But again, FC Porto here on board in 3rd place. He's used 4 of his push-to-passes and he has got 4 remaining. So he's fairly well placed either to attack if Basel's tyres start to go off inside the final 10 minutes here, or to defend, particularly against Spurs, who's only got 2 shots left. So even if he gets past, Earl Bamber has got a little bit of an upper hand. And he and Milan, with 5 shots in the top 10, are the guys best placed at the moment. They've still got plenty of weapons left in their defence. So leader across the line, Olympiacos was leading by 3.2 seconds. Looking here again as the battle between Porto and Spurs continues. Porto at 131.2, 131.5 for Spurs. So the gap just opens up another fraction. And behind, Girondin and Milan.
Both using their push to pass on the straight, but Girondin only has got 2 left, Milan's 4, so he's definitely looking much stronger for the last few laps of this race.
And in fact,
interesting battle.
The way the lights went off, Girondin was fractionally on the push to pass before Milan, so he had already triggered it as a defensive move, as Milan then maybe a second later, hit it as an aggressive move, but being in the slipstream, even without the push to pass, you get a little bit of an effect from the car in front as well. So yeah, Milan does look to be quicker, doesn't he? He looks as though he's got just a bit more under him than Girondin, and presumably that will continue as the race reaches its conclusion and Girondin's tires continue to go off at a faster rate.
Yeah, but at the same time it's hard for Milan as well, because it's a small track with a lot of twisty corners where you need the downforce, and following a car so closely for a huge number of laps makes the degradation on your tires even worse. And yeah, you can see now Girondin is pulling away slightly again. Small mistake is very easily made, and immediately you have a big gap like this.
Well, this is such a critical corner here, tight right-hander, and it gives you this long, fast run down to the first corner, or up and then back down to the first corner, and it's possibly the most important corner on the circuit because the major opportunity for overtaking is in front. And again, we can see that Robert Dormos was nowhere near close enough, Jelmer Berman nowhere near close enough to make any aggressive moves there. Jumping the chicane again is our leader. He's gone through past PSV, another Chinese driver, Adderley Fong.
Also in his first outing.
Yeah, raced in British Formula 3 a fortnight ago in the rain at Brands Hatch. This has got to be very different for him. So Adderley Fong still on track, and PSV Eindhoven currently in 11th place. So for a first time ever in the car at a brand new circuit, doing a really good job. Going to take a look. Oh, now that was Galatasaray off in the tyre smoke, I think, on the side of the track. Certainly looked like their colours. And Olympiakos went through without any dramas. I wonder whether Galatasaray's Giacomo Ricci was just trying to be a little bit too much of a gentleman and put himself in a sandy area he couldn't get out of. Now, as it stands now, Anderlecht will have 608 points. The gap to Spurs will be just 10 points. And Basel, well, they are just going to lose a little to each of, close a little, in fact, to each of the guys in front of them. But Olympiakos will leapfrog Milan to go up to 4th position, confirming that they are very definitely still championship contenders. So it's going to be very interesting times. Basel again working his way through traffic without any problems. Gap was 3.1 seconds. Nothing to choose between them on the previous lap. And so much of how you deal with traffic might have an effect now on how close you are at the end of the race.
Exactly. We just saw, I think Basel was closing in on Olympiakos slightly, but then at the same time, just a few laps left, and it's only got one push to pass left, which he's probably going to try to save whenever he's got to get a shot, but I think it's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, the question is, do you use it to get close enough to try and have a shot, or do you try and work your way close enough? I guess if there's 2 laps left, then it's time to use your last shot in reserve.
Usually the team uses tells them over the radio how many push to pass your fellow competitors have got left. So it's a strategy thing as well. He just used his last one.
Yeah, Basel has used his last shot, maybe to clear a bit of traffic, maybe just to try and get a little closer to Olympiakos, our race leader. And FC Porto in 3rd place, coming up behind the Team China car, still running 13th ahead of Olympique Lyonnais. So Marco Hart doing a really solid job. I know Adderley Fong has been training solidly for the last six weeks, physically, just to survive these cars, because the demands are way in excess of anything he's ever driven, and I'm sure that Marco Huart is probably starting to feel the pace as well. I know Adderley has been in bed by 7 o'clock every evening to try and get some rest, because these things are real torture. Excellent, thank you, Earl. Well, if he was sitting behind the microphone, watching on screen, or sitting behind the wheel, it's the same thing. Come on, get out of the way, let me through.
Lost quite a bit of time there. Had a good shot, used one of his push to pass to try to get past the Team China car, but he didn't see him, I think, or no blue flags shown properly. So lost a bit of time there. Tottenham is quite close, the Spurs car quite close behind him, so he doesn't want to lose any time, definitely.
Yeah, Earl in the Porto car has used 2 push to passes in the last couple of laps. He's gone down from 4 shots to 2. Spurs with 1. What's that gap? It's a little over a second. Spurs cleared China quite quickly. So, yes, you say, OK, why is he so impatient? He's going to have to wait. Well, he's got to be impatient because he doesn't want the guy coming up behind. Okay, I thought we were going to hear the radio comment again, but that was the pass anyway. And again, you know, for the slower driver, Olympique Lyonnais are in the garage, so that is very bad news indeed for them. I'm afraid Tristan Gomedy retiring towards the end of the race. And going around the Galatasaray car is... Was that Roma? Yeah, that was a good outside pass. They were just a few hundreds apart at the line, so that was a change for 11th position. And the leaders are coming up to lap them as well. Basel up 5, Porto up 5, Spurs up 5, Anderlecht up 4. Can see all the big winners and losers. And Girondins, well, they would have been in the green had it not been for that drive-through penalty. We talked during the pit stops, didn't we, about drivers having to slow down for the line, maybe a little early, and maybe he just pushed it as you normally would and entered the pits too fast.
Yep.
Yeah. So Porto with 2 push to pass, Spurs with 1, 2 minutes and 20 seconds and counting. We've completed 27 laps. This will be the end of lap 28, and we might even start lap 30 with the leader because he's in front of these guys by some 25 seconds. Craig Dolby struggling still again there, downhill to get it slowed down. You can see tyre smoke in the background as well from the Anderlecht car. That was a real problem in qualifying, and still, even, you know, though the track's been rubbered up by the race, it is still causing problems. That just the transition, it's flat out in 4th gear, hard braking down into 2nd, all through a long left-hand corner.
And Olympiacos doing a really quick lap now, actually setting the quickest lap of the race. So fuel level going down, end of the race, not trying to save his tires anymore, using push to pass, just trying to bang in a quick lap.
Yeah, absolutely. 1:30.0. Will we beat the 1:30 mark? Galatasaray staying out of the way to allow Porto to go through. And I have a feeling that may well, either Galatasaray spun because of a mechanical problem, which is also making him slow, or he spun trying to get out of the way of the leaders. And I think perhaps might be the latter. There is our race leader then. A minute remaining. Is he going to make it to the line to start another lap? I think he might just do. He's only 3 seconds in front of Basel, so he can't really afford just to slow down. And doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the car either, so no reason at all why he would want to. As it stands, the points gap will be 10, 1st to 2nd. Basel will stay in 3rd. Olympiacos will jump up to 4th ahead of Milan. Flamengo tighten up in 6th position. They don't score here. So behind them, Roma are struggling, Liverpool are out, Beijing are out. Porto may be the big movers here. They came into the weekend in 10th place. How many? 22 seconds. Final lap then for Ben Hanley. Gap was 3.6, remains 3.6 seconds from Olympiacos to Basel. So final lap then, and Ben Hanley with plenty of time in hand. And now, of course, is the time just to concentrate. He's clearly in a really good flow, isn't he? Nothing is upsetting his rhythm at the moment.
Simply just bringing the car home. Last lap now of the race, just bringing the car home. He's got enough gap. I have to say, Olympiacos and Basel car really driving a race on their own. The FC Porto car quite far behind, but I think we should mention that again, that Earl Bamber is just doing his first race here in Superleague Formula and doing a brilliant job.
Absolutely right. He was expecting to be talking about the race, not talking his way through the race. And you saw Porto and Spurs and Anderlecht using push to pass there on the final lap just to try and make some difference, to give yourself a bit more momentum down that straight. Spurs in 4th, Anderlecht in 5th, and Milan in 6th position. Our championship rivals to Basel in 2nd place, but Olympiacos, well, they are going to definitely jump up ahead of Milan here. First win in the car is just a few corners away for Ben Hanley, and Olympiacos returning to winning form with Chris van der Drift. They already had pole and victory in race 1 at Zolder. They won the super final in the Nürburgring and in Jarama. They won in Assen, and now Olympiacos win in China. First race in Ordos.
Excellent job, Max. Ben, excellent job. You've done an excellent race, Ben. Congratulations.
Well, I don't think there's anything we can add to that. He has done a superb job. Superb too for Earl Bamber in 3rd place, out of the final corner. Climbs the hill towards the checkered flag, and he takes a fantastic podium result on his first appearance in the car.
Great result for Earl. He came here without anything, no racing gear, nothing.
Well, the team will...
Negative. Keep the tires straight. Negative.
Okay, did you want me to pick any rubber? Now, this is something you often see drivers doing, and for fans that aren't quite sure why, you see drivers driving offline, or not quite through gravel traps, but across all the bits of rubber build-up and grass and muck to pick it up on the tyres. Why would they be doing that?
Well, you don't want to carry any extra weight during the race, so usually engineers trying to calculate the weight as closely as possible to the minimum weight at the end of the race. So picking up rubber, half a kilo maybe even more, could just make the difference between over or underweight. So that's why don't want to take a risk.
Well, there is Olympiakos, the moment of victory for Ben Hanley. Fantastic result for him, his second weekend only in the car, and from Adria to Ordos, to very, very technical racetracks, and he has managed not only to finish on a podium in his first weekend, but on the top step in his second. Olympiakos win, Basel in second place, Porto rounding out the podium. Spurs and Anderlecht, the top two in the championship, fourth and fifth ahead of Milan, and Girondins de Bordeaux in seventh place after that drive-through that robbed them of a podium position. But some of the big stories occurred before the race even started. Beijing Corinthians Flamengo out before they even saw the start line. Well, I'm not sure who's going to be happier here, whether it's the Olympiakos driver Ben Hanley or the FC Porto driver, because for both of them, it's a huge step up. Ben Hanley wins his first race, but Earl Bamber finishes on the podium, first time in the car. Borrowed helmet, borrowed race suit, somebody else's boots, a fourth person's gloves. You know, it looks like he's been to a second-hand store. There he is, standing up in the car.
It looks like a fairy tale story, doesn't it?
Anthony Reid offers his congratulations. That's a fantastic job. What a fairy tale. We were joking beforehand, if he ended up somehow winning the super final and the €100,000, he'd get about €1, because so many people have got a claim to having tried to help him in here. The whole TV crew want to share the pot with him as well, because, of course, you know, he's one of us. So fantastic stuff. Well, I'm sure Abby's going to get down there as well. We've already seen Ben Hanley step out the car and take his helmet off. See if we can catch a quick word with him. I'm sure we'll have a chat with Earl as well. Let's get down to the pit lane then with Abby Griffiths.
Yeah, Ben, we spoke before the race. You were just so calm, but there just seemed to be a little secret confidence, and what a performance.
Yeah, it was great. You know, I don't know what happened at the start. Row 2 had a disaster. I think there was a crash. So I got a quite clean getaway, no pressure. I think it was Pereira, the first couple of laps pushed me quite hard, so just made sure I didn't make any mistakes, and then the guys did a great pit stop. And then from then on, we were just, you know, we knew the tyres would be a problem, so I was going quick and slow to try and save the tyres but maintain the gap, and in the end it worked, and it was a fantastic result.
But Ben, what's brilliant as well is in terms of the championship points, you've now gone ahead of AC Milan, so you're in fourth place.
Yeah, I mean, that's our aim, you know, to score as many points as possible. So we've started in the best way.
Well done, Ben. And GU Racing, Gunther behind you must be delighted, because Max in second, teammates. Max, a totally different move from yesterday where you weren't so happy, now sporting a great smile.
Yeah, definitely. Yesterday we had a few problems in the qualifying. The car was good, but yeah, things like happen. But yeah, the start was completely crazy. For me, pretty good. After this, I think P2 was definitely there what we could. So yeah, Ben was on the same speed like me, so I tried everything to close the gap, but he's a quick teammate and it's not possible to close 5 seconds in 10 laps.
But in championship turns, you're still really in the fight because you're in third position.
Yeah, hopefully. I haven't seen the championship now, but it looks good. I don't know which position finished Rigona and Yelma, but I think it wasn't too bad for us.
Well done, and this person I'm slightly delighted to speak to. I've never seen you before this weekend in your racing gear, usually very smart in the commentary box. Earl, oh, what an achievement.
Yeah, I can't believe it, you know, it was absolutely crazy at the start. It's been a crazy, crazy weekend, and now to finish on the podium, you know, speechless, absolutely speechless. The guys have done a fantastic job. You know, it's great for FC Porto to be on the podium, bring on the second race this afternoon.
Brilliant, Elle. I mean, you have got a brand new suit on, someone else's shoes, Craig Dolby's gloves. He's going to be annoyed that he gave you them now. But you've just come in and you're new to the car, the push-to-pass strategy, everything you've had to learn so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it helps doing the commentary week in, week out. You know, I've learned a lot of the things that are going on in the championship. Push-to-pass is a little bit hard. At the start, I couldn't get it on, and finally got it on and didn't lose the position. But yeah, absolutely ecstatic. Didn't believe I'd be on the podium coming into the weekend.
But when you heard the news that Giodan got a drive-through penalty, was it then you just knew that you were going to be on the podium and I was going to chat to you?
Oh, well, I didn't actually know what happened to the other driver, to be honest. I just saw my board went from P4 to P3. Oh, this is awesome. The guys didn't talk to me all race, so yeah, fantastic.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, the race really got off to a very dramatic start, didn't it? Beijing were hoping for victory here. They were out before it even got underway. Liverpool, last year's champions, the car smoking into retirement within the first couple of minutes. Touch and go for Craig Dolby in the Spurs car. He didn't want to lose his hard-fought advantage over rivals Anderlecht. But through the pit stops, Olympiakos led from start all the way through. And without too many dramas, just Giodan de Bordeaux, who picked up second place at the pit stops and then lost it on the track to FC Basel, then being handed a drive-through penalty. Nothing, though, was going to get in the way of Ben Hanley en route to a first win in Olympiakos colours in only his second race weekend. Basel taking second place and closing on the top two cars in the championship. And a heroic effort from commentator Earl Bamber to take third position. Well, he says he's learned a lot about driving these cars from watching them. Let me tell you, I've watched them as well. I couldn't drive them like that. So let's see our guys getting up onto the podium then. And I hope in Tung, whatever anybody expected from this race in Ordos, from the start to the finish, none of what we expected happened. Could have possibly been predicted.
It's a very exciting race. Already before the start of the race, incident happening.
So third place trophy going to our commentary colleague Earl Bamber for FC Porto. Alfredo Brisac, the CEO of Superleague Formula, presenting it to him. Second place for Max Wissel of FC Basel, and GU Racing running the top two cars. And a very symbolic Chinese-style trophy for Ben Hanley as well. Well, again, hard to tell who's got the biggest smile. Ben Hanley really resurrecting his career. A win here, his second time in the car. Wissel closes on the championship leaders. And if fairy tales come any more convoluted and bizarre than Earl Bamber's, I have yet to see it. He's third here in race one. What are the chances then in race two? Don't forget, that comes up at 3 p.m. local time here in Inner Mongolia, 7 a.m. GMT. I have no idea what time that is in New Zealand for those of you watching. Here's the points then. Olympiakos are race winners, 50 points, 45 for Basel, helping them close on Spurs and Anderlecht. And Spurs outscoring Anderlecht by 4 points. The gap comes down from 14 to 10 among the top two. Well, the Team China car finishing in 12th place as well. And you have to say, for Ma Qinha and also for PSV's Adderley Fong, even surviving the race is a huge, huge step up for them. They've both come up from Formula 3 cars to 750 horsepower monsters. Well, I don't know quite what we anticipated from Ordos, but it has delivered in spades. What a fantastic result. 10 points separate the top two. Basel close again from third place. Olympiakos jump up to fourth, and FC Porto came in here 10th. They are now in 8th position, less than just 25 points behind AS Roma. So all sorts of changes further down the order as well. And a chance to do it all again. Do not forget, race 2 features all 19 cars in reverse order. Olympiakos, the winner, will start 19th and last. Beijing, the first retirement. John Martin will be on pole position and doubly determined to put on a good show for the Chinese crowd. Well, my thanks to Ho Pin Tung for joining us. If race 2 is more exciting than that, I have no idea how they're going to do it.
I'm already looking forward to it. I think the teams are going to have a big job to do. try to fix the cars, but I'm sure we'll see a brilliant race as well.
Absolutely so, and our fastest guys in race 1 will have a lot of work to do to battle their way through the order. That's it then from race 1 in China. Second race coming up at 3 p.m. and the fastest 6, the top 6 point scorers will go into the super final straight after that. We'll see you then. For the moment then, bye-bye from China.
Yeah, I'm with Frank. He hasn't got any radio signal for you.
Gek van een kutding. Do you hear me? Kevin, do you hear me? Oh. Why can't you hear me? I asked you so many times, and also for West, but I think